can see, this rotor is on here loose, which is good for us. We got lucky this time. Frequently there'll be rust that develops in this area, and you may need to use a wheel puller to get the rotor off. If you look at this rotor, it's in pretty decent shape. No real bad signs of any grooving or scoring. But again, there's a transfer film of friction material on there that we want to make sure we remove, either with a lathe or, in our case, just to save our camera crew some time, we're going to select some brand new rotors so that we don't have to take time to have those machined. Okay, we've got our new rotor surface, and when you buy the rotor, to protect it from corrosion, the manufacturer puts some greases and oils on there. We want to make sure we remove those because it will impact your braking efficiency. So for this, we spray the brake pad. Okay, now this one's not in too bad a shape, but what we want to do is remove all the corrosion from the surface where the rotor is going to be made up with our hub. So, also take a Scotch brake pad to reach into the areas, the corners that are going to be harder to reach. Okay. We'll do a little bit more thorough job off camera, but you understand the point. Get this surface nice and clean so you got good metal and metal contact. Okay? Okay, next step in the process, we want to put some lubricant in any of the surfaces just to cut down on any corrosion. Again, just a very, very light film. In every one of the Hawk Performance boxes, you'll find a grease pack. Ideal for this. We're going to place it on this surface and any other surface on the brake where we have metal-to-metal contact, particularly on the sliding surfaces, on the pins right there. Anytime where metal needs to slide, you want to make sure it stays lubricated so it slides nice and easily. Again, this is one of the things that sometimes when people skip this step, you could end up with a little bit of vibration, and it could create noise problems. Okay, next we want to put a thin layer of lubricant right here on the surface where we're going to have metal-metal contact between our rotor and the hub. Luckily, with all the Hawk Performance boxes, it includes some high-temperature grease that's really used. We'll get to it later. It's used on the back of the brake components, but we're going to take a little bit of that right now. Okay, you don't need a lot, just a very, very thin film. Okay. Don't put it on too heavy. Next, we're going to slide a rotor in place. Okay. Now, the lubricant I was talking about is really intended for any type of sliding surface. Those holes right here, there's these locator pins. You want to make sure you don't have any direct metal-to-metal contact that's not lubricated. Like any other sliding surface, the grease helps maintain a very easy, friction-free surface for it to slide across. That way you can eliminate any propensity for noise. Also want to mention a couple things. Every one of the Hawk Performance pads comes with this little anti-squeal shim. These are shims that cut down on the vibration and again help prevent any type of noise that could occur during braking. If you could get in a good close-up shot right here, if you can see this little piece of metal right here, this goes on the outboard pad side. What this does is when the pad wears down all the way to the point just before it hits the backing plate, that little metal starts to rub against the rotor. It makes a squealing sound. It's an audible sound to tell you it's time to change your brakes again. Okay? Okay, it's time to put our caliper back in place. Get rid of our coat hanger. Line up the mounting bolts. Okay, it's time to install the brake pads. Now we've apply a thin layer of our high temperature grease to the back of the pad where they're going to contact the pistons. And also, we'll put a very fine layer right here on this sliding surface where the side of the pad contacts the caliper. Again, you don't need a lot. All we need is a fine film there. Okay, now it's time to install our brake hardware. Again, we're going to take our pins, clean them off quickly, knock the heavy dirt off them, apply a very thin layer of grease. Put our retaining clip back in. Now we want to repeat this process on the other side. After that, we're going to go on to the rear brakes where there's a little different caliper design and a little different technique that we need to use to install the brakes. Okay, final step in your process. Once you get your wheel put back on and the other side installed, make sure you follow the detailed bedding instructions that are included on every box. The bedding helps make sure the pad is broken in and properly seated. We start to develop a transfer film for our new brake pad onto the old rotor. Again, we'll have a separate video to cover this in more detail, or you can read the instructions that's right on your box. Thanks for your time. Good luck and enjoy your new Hawk Performance brake pads.